Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. I'm the founder of Lead Above Noise, where we help leaders tweak how their teams do the work so that results stay strong and engagement and well-being thrive inside of the work. When leaders struggle here, nobody wins. I would love to come speak at your next event or offsite to deliver the clarity, confidence, and tools that your leaders need to bring this shift to life. Reach out today at leadabovenoise.com/connect. So there's this guy that I follow. He's known as Knees Over Toes Guy. He has a real name. It's Ben Patrick. He shares a lot of content on physical movement and rehab, and I'm kind of a walking bag of pinched discs. Sorry, TMI. But I just think he's really smart. Anyway, I bring him up today because he shared this story recently that has just stuck with me. One of his favorite techniques that he teaches is walking backwards, pulling a heavy sled. I know, it is as weird as it sounds, but the interesting part for me is where this method comes from. Story goes that back in the 90s, this legendary powerlifting coach noticed that a bunch of Finnish lifters, like lifters from Finland, were dominating the deadlift, and he got curious about what was different with them. So he just started watching them, and he discovered that a lot of them worked during the day as loggers, like their day job was to drag trees that had been cut down out of the way. They were spending their days walking backward under load for hours. The coach saw that, so he built a sled to replicate the movement, and it's become a cornerstone of strength training. The genius here is that the innovation just came out of observation, noticing, wondering, and observing. And sometimes by doing so, we discover what Dan and Chip Heath refer to in their work as bright spots, like places where things are working really well and can teach us something important. I'm recording this as we roll into year end. And this, but really any time of year, is a great moment for doing a bit of that reflecting, of finding some of the bright spots of our own and inviting them to teach us something about how we want to operate going forward. The close of the year makes this a perfect time to turn that power of observation on ourselves, to look back and ask, where were my bright spots? What was already working that I want to carry into the new year? I know, we love busyness and hustle, but I'm a huge advocate for making time to just sit and watch and wonder. It's how we find patterns and connections that are worth repeating. There's gold in this if you give yourself permission to dig. So for today, I offer some questions to help you really reflect and mine for gold. First, what's the best piece of feedback you received this year? Did you delight a client with an awesome presentation? Did you help a patient through a particularly difficult moment? Or share an insight that changed the outcome of a project? Get recognized for something you didn't even realize you were good at? Now, dissect it. What triggered that moment? What had you done to prepare? Not just that day, but in the weeks or months before. What learning or experience had you pulled in? How did you show up in the delivery? Was it a quiet moment or a loud one? Were you nervous or calm? Had you rehearsed it or were you winging it? What was different about that experience compared to your usual? There's something in there worth pulling into the new year, so sit with it and find it. Next, what's the most surprising outcome you achieved this year? Where did the impact feel way bigger than the effort? Like maybe you stumbled into a cheat code. Did you send a quick customer note that had an outsized positive impact on their day? Did you offer the same advice you'd given 100 times, but this time it really landed and changed someone's experience? Did you read a book or listen to a podcast and actually implement the advice and it paid off? What was different? Not just about the situation, but about you and how you approached it. Were you more relaxed than usual? More direct? Did you care less about being perfect and care more about being helpful? Did you follow up when you normally wouldn't have? Figure out what was different there and try to do it again. Next, when did you feel you're most engaged, energized, in the zone, like losing time because you're so into what you're doing, or so productive or inventive or creative that you just want to get back there again? What were you doing? Were you doing quiet work or were you working out loud? Were you with people or solo? Was there music playing? Were you moving around or sitting still? Were you teaching someone else, learning something new? Was it something exciting or something familiar and comfortable? What time of day was it? Were you Outside, where were you physically? And what had happened right before? Had you just exercised or eaten? Those conditions aren't accidental. They're your recipe, and you can recreate them if you can figure out what they were. And finally, when were you at your bravest? Courage is always something worth carrying forward. So when did you share your boldest idea or ask your dumbest question? Did you say the thing that everyone was thinking but nobody else would say? Or push back on something you disagreed with? What made that moment feel safe enough for you to be brave? Had you pre-planned what you would say, or was it impulsive? Did you frame it as a question or a statement? Were you the first to speak or the last? Did someone else create the opening for you, or did you create it yourself? Was it the people in the room, the topic, your own confidence level that day? Something about how the conversation had been going? There is something in there about the conditions for your courage. Find it and figure out how to create them again next year. The point isn't to catalog your wins for a performance review, but it's to observe yourself with that same curiosity that Simmons brought to those Finnish powerlifters. What's already working? What's the pattern underneath? And how do you do more of it? Success is personal. The conditions that make me thrive might drain you. The approach that unlocks your best work might fall flat for me. There's no one-size-fits-all formula. That's why we all have to do the discovery work on ourselves. Watch for our own bright spots and understand why they worked. So as you close out this year, make the time. Observe, reflect, wonder. The insights are already there in your last 12 months. You just have to look. I'd love to hear what you discover. Shoot me a note at rachel@leadabovenoise.com and tell me what bright spots you're carrying into the new year. You can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Find and follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. Thanks to the QDT team. Audio engineer Dan Fireband. Director of podcasts Holly Hutchings. Ad operations specialist Morgan Christensen. Marketing manager Rebecca Sebastian. And our marketing contractor Nat Hoops.